Hi everyone, I'm Christy Forsyth with Clarity by Christy. I am a soul therapist and an intuitive that connects with the angelic energy, and I help the helpers, the healers, and the light bringers of this world to live their most magical life. So if that's you, make sure you hit that subscribe button below with the bell so you can get notifications for all the videos that I'm sharing here on this channel. And if you're watching this live on my Facebook, make sure if you haven't that you swing by my YouTube channel, get yourself subscribed. I am in the process of releasing my monthly March tarot scopes. I have half of those up. I will have the rest of those up hopefully by the end of the week. I have some of them filmed, a few of them left to go. So we're getting there, but I'm excited about the energy of March. I feel like there is a marching forward that's happening. Hi, Mom. There's a marching forward and we're shifting into that. So before I talk about that, make sure you do go to my YouTube channel, get yourself subscribed. But also, I do want to highlight, I wrapped up recently my life coaching with the angels, and it was such an amazing program, and it is 9 modules. It was really incredible I actually participated in it myself and followed the flow of that. So it's such an amazing program for creating change for yourself, for creating change, but creating change by working with the angels. And so it has recorded meditations, it has a weekly prayer, it has all kinds of stuff that helps to support that, along with the course documents and the courses itself. So for those of you who are interested in the replay version of that, you can access everything on my website at discoveryawakening.com. I think that you will really love it if that connects for you, if you're somebody who's looking to make some changes and you want to do that with a spiritual component with the angels, then make sure that you get yourself set up with that. So anyway, so let's talk about this week's energy. What's going on with this week's energy, and how is it feeling, and how can we best navigate this week? And this is a message for all of us. This is a message for the collective. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you. Hi, CG. So this week we've really, we've stepped out of this Mercury retrograde, right? And the energy is moving forward. But what I think is really powerful with what's going on in terms of like the planetary alignments is that we literally have 0 planets in retrograde until April 27th. Okay, so from now until April 27th, there are no planets in retrograde. And this is incredibly powerful because when planets are in retrograde, it tends to slow us down. It tends to make the energy feel like we're pushing through mud. And it's purposeful, right? It serves a purpose in order to slow us down. But when that releases, it allows for us to go. It allows for us to take action. But I feel like the biggest message that I need to talk about this week is I'm feeling like we're all feeling this energy, right? Where we're just like, yep, let me go for it. Let me go after my goals. Let me go after this thing. Let me do this. Let me do that. And the message that I've been guided to all weekend and at the beginning of this week was, wait a minute, slow down. You want to go, but also slow down, okay? It's really important that we're finding a balance here, because here's what we're risking is I feel like we feel this surge of energy. We feel like we need to go. We feel like we're ready to go, but we're stepping into, if we're not careful, a fear-based energy. We're stepping into a forcing it energy. So I want you to ask yourself, with the stuff that you're working on right now, am I forcing it or am I flowing with it, right? We want to flow with this energy. We don't want to force it. And I feel like there's a lot of energy right now that's stirring up our ego-based stuff, okay? And so when our ego-based stuff gets stirred up, it's going to stir up a lot of fear. It's going to stir up a lot of insecurity. It's going to stir up this need to prove ourselves, or this need to be, successful in some way that we have decided that we need to be successful. And it's going to stir up all of that stuff that just really, if you take a step back and you look at it for your highest and best good, from a soul-based perspective, doesn't really help us, doesn't really serve us, because that's ego. And we're human. We all have ego and we all have to navigate that, right? But when we are allowing that ego to be driving the actions that we're taking, so maybe we're taking action from a place of fear, because from a place of lack, because we're afraid that, we're not going to get to that goal fast enough, or that that something isn't happening fast enough for us. Or if we are, staying connected to something, staying in a relationship, staying in a job longer than we need to because we're afraid. There's that kind of energy that's happening right now. So I really want you to take a look at where, it is fear leading some of the actions that I'm taking. Because there's such a difference between trying to control something and taking inspired action. These are two very different things. And you'll recognize when you're trying to control something because it'll feel very scary. It'll feel like, like I always feel this energy right here. I don't know. I don't have the words for this, but you know what I mean? Like this energy that I feel right here. And, it'll feel like I've got to do this. I've got to do this. And we just get this really pressured energy. If you're feeling pressured, that's coming from ego. That's coming from a place of trying to control it. But if you're feeling like, I'm excited about this next step, or, I'm excited about where I want to go with this, or, wow, I just feel really called today to take this action, then that's a really different energy. And this is really where we want to move into this, right? We need to honor the journey of where we're going, but also be taking these actions. You are going to be inspired to take more actions during this period of time. That's just the way that the energy is working. But you also remember that you're co-creating. So you don't have to do all the work. Do the work when you feel inspired to, take action when you feel inspired to, but then let yourself kind of just flow and see what's showing up for you. If you're waiting to hear on an opportunity, unless you feel really inspired to contact them, let them come to you. Let that show up for you. Give it a little space to manifest, to happen. But if you are like right on it all the time and taking these actions and getting more and more anxious about it, it's going to shut this energy down for you, and it's not going to allow it to flow in the way that it's supposed to. So we really want to make sure that we are taking inspired action rather than trying to control our circumstances, trying to force a manifestation. Okay? Again, it's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel calm. It's not going to feel peaceful if you're forcing it. It's going to feel like it's coming from a place of fear if you really take a step back and you look at it. So am I being driven by fear and ego, or am I being driven by my soul? Am I being guided? Am I being shown? Pay attention to how that feels. We want to, sometimes inspired action is also just like saying, you know what, I'm going to just take a step back and I'm going to allow things to come. I also feel like part of the reason that some things haven't fully manifested is we are just getting to know ourselves in new ways. We've stepped into a newer energy. We are just beginning this process of truly connecting to our authenticity. So I know for me, I've been exploring a lot of things in connection to my life, but also in connection to my work. And so just this week, I felt really called to take the readings off my menu. I took it off because I felt really inspired to do that. And I'm still going to be doing like the tarot email readings, and I'll still do events with those sometimes. But you know what? That doesn't bring me joy. What brings me joy is to sit with people, is to do the work with people, is to teach people how to access their own intuition, is to use my intuition to be a guide, but for us to do the work. Whereas readings for me are fantastic and they can inspire you, but once a reading is done, it's done. And a lot of times there isn't a whole lot of follow-up work with that. Whereas with the soul therapy, we are working as a team to bring you from where you are to where you want to be. So sorry, I got off on a little tangent with that, but that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I have always seen myself as a teacher and a healer more so than a psychic. And so now I've made the leap because that's what I want to make space for. And that's what I'm doing most of the time anyway. And I want to make sure that I have that space to do the work with the people who are really wanting to do the work, who are really wanting to take themselves to that next level. So I feel really blessed that I'm able to do that, but I also am listening to the changes that I'm feeling called to make. You guys have seen me make some changes with my videos, and I think that's going to continue to progress. I have some other new ideas that are coming in that are going to be shaking things up a little bit. So I'm following my flow. I'm listening to who I am. And as we're accessing our authenticity, the other thing that I feel called to say is what we can do is we can look at other people's paths, right? And I've caught myself doing that where I'll see somebody's page and I'm just like, wow, they really seem like they have something really great going on. And, you know, like, and they've got this and they've got this, and I can look at that. And if I'm not careful, I can find myself wanting to emulate that. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with being inspired by other people, but you also want to make sure that you keep coming back to you and that you keep coming back to who you are. And if you find yourself really wanting to emulate other people in your life or in your work, then ask yourself, like, is this really in alignment for me? Because we can recognize when someone else is in their most aligned path and see that and think, wow, that's really incredible. And we can feel the power of that energy. But what we don't want to do is discount our own gifts and our own path and the direction that we are meant to go. And if we are cluttering that up with watching everybody else's path and feeling like, oh, I wish I had that, and oh, I want that, then we clutter that up and we're not allowing ourselves to really listen to what our best path is. And that, you know, in regard to anything, in regard to other people's relationships, in regard to other people's lives, life circumstances, work, anything, you know. So where are you comparing yourself to other people, and where do you need to just come back to home and stay in your own lane and focus on who you are and what gifts you are given? Because we all have a path and we all have gifts and we all have these things that we are meant to experience and meant to share. And if we're so focused over here on somebody else's path, then we're not going to get there as quickly as we would if we just stay in our own lane. Like I hear a lot of times, there's so many coaches out there who will say, go out and watch what the other people are doing that work in your area. And that's okay. Like it's okay to do that. And sometimes I do find myself inspired by that, but I tend to really just focus on my work and my truth and my messages, and I allow myself to just be guided, because at the end of the day, somebody else's, you know, Instagram or Facebook page or website is never going to tell me what my best business plan is, what my best life plan is, ever. You know, again, it might inspire you, but at the end of the day, you have to come within and you have to listen to yourself. So I feel like that's such an important message here, and to bring that focus back to you, because as we're uncovering our authentic self, we don't want to step away from that. We want to be listening to ourselves. We want to be paying attention to what's showing up for us and what we need and who we are and how we're changing and how we feel called to shift. And this is so incredibly powerful if we can just stay in our own lane with this, you know, and focus on that and let this process open. You know, there's some patience required here. There's a lot of patience required here. You know, there's so many times I want for things to just, can it just manifest already? Can it just have happened already? But just like my post that I posted on my Facebook today, you know, sometimes we just have to trust that we're going to bloom and blossom in exactly the right way and exactly the right timing. And we might not even see the possibility of that just yet, but we have to trust. We have to hand it up and trust in that. The other thing that I feel called to talk about is balance. That was the other word that came through. Okay. So balancing out the action, you know, even though we're feeling called to take action, again, taking balance and making sure that you are also focusing on, what do I need to feel most balanced in my life? Like some days, you know, I feel really called to focus a lot on my work stuff. And then other days it's like, no, I have all these, in order for me to feel balanced, I have all these things that I need to take care of around the house. So I've got to give my attention to that. And then other days it's like, I'm needing so much more self-care and I need to redirect my time and my energy toward that. So following your flow and following that balance, that you're needing to help you to navigate all of this. I've been mixing things up a little bit. I haven't been using cards, but I did feel called to pull 2 cards today. So I wanted to share those with you. And the first one is a prayer card. And it's so perfect with what we're talking about, right? Contentment. And the card says, you can learn to rest in what you already have and already are. Suddenly you remember, I'm right here resting in God. And I love that so much, contentment. So can we make that a focus for ourselves over this next week? And then we have the joy card, okay? So to me, this is a message of, even if you're not there, even if it hasn't happened yet, know that miracles are happening every day. Know that wishes are being fulfilled. Know that you are connecting with those things, whether it's actual manifestations, whether it's joy, whether it's peace, whether it's, something specific, that we have to keep trusting. We have to keep focusing on that. We have to keep flowing with what's showing up for ourselves and finding that contentment in what is in the meantime. So those are your messages for this week. I'm Christy Forsyth with Clarity by Christy. If you guys like this video, I always appreciate it. If you like it, heart it, share it, comment below. I always love to hear from you guys. And if you want to learn more about me or about Clarity, you can check me out at discoveryourawakening.com. I will see you guys soon with another video. Take care.